We are back to doing Dead by Daylight creation reviews. I'm about an hour and a half late, but I wanted to test some things to see if they were going to work. More importantly, I downloaded a thing called Epic Pen to where I can actually take it and I can draw on screen. And I just wanted to know if Epic Pen would show up on stream if I used it. It doesn't look like it does. It looks like it's just part of an overlay that sticks over on top of everything. So I would actually have to do it like this to show the obvious surface that I'm going on and capture it in its own, which isn't that big of a deal, but I can actually copy the entire toolbar too. Weird. Ooh. It takes the pen itself and it takes it, but it doesn't actually show the image. So in order for me to do this, I would have to make two different screen captures. One would be for Epic Pen, and then I would have to take a different screen capture for whatever material I'm viewing. Which, I mean, that's fun. And then I would just have to hook them both together. And then you would be able to see what I'm doing. But that's what I needed to see. Was just whether or not Epic Pen would do it on its own or if I would have to do it for it. Put chat up in its corner. All right, let's do this thing. I figured I'd show my live experimentation. Let's see. This is one? Oh, looks like we finally got pushed back into the second screen. Nice. So yeah, we've actually been pushed back to the second screen, which ain't bad. Ain't bad at all. I did the gladiator concept. I didn't do any of these, but I mean, you can always go to the creation forum if you want to view any of that on your own time. You gotta leave something for the imagination of the curious. Oh, keep in mind, I skip a lot of different topics and ideas. There's some of these that I haven't even looked at. I've skimmed by. I've saved some things for the people that actually do take the time to go to the forum. There are a couple of cool concepts that I just haven't covered because I want people to come find it for themselves. Licensed chapter idea, the cube. Cube like Pinhead's cube or cube like the movie where there's traps in every room is my question. Um, Survivor? Okay. Survivor, Kazan, Perks, Boone. Oh, yeah, this is Cube the movie. Okay. Boone, big picture. Survivors inside Boone title's range benefit from the following effects. All survivors share aura reading information with each other. Aura reading is also activated for any object or survivor being acted with, and if the killer is chasing a survivor while inside the boon radius, their auras are also revealed to other survivors, but not to the survivor being chased. This particular boon, either somebody, it's December 10th, so either somebody either picked this up and added it into their concept, which is completely fine. They should definitely credit it because it's very, very close to another person's perk that I reviewed recently. I'm not gonna say whose, but they either pulled it from their concept or they pulled it from this concept. I don't know which way it went, but whatever. Something about a permutation. If all survivors have the same health state, there is a 25% chance one random survivor will gain a health state. This perk is affected by the luck stat. This effect will only trigger once per trial. If multiple survivors have this perk, the chance will stack, but will still only trigger once per trial. Then that means, one, that this particular perk needs to have a trigger state. Because all it says is if all survivors have the same health state, there's a 25% chance one random survivor will get a health state. By definition, this is going to trigger at the beginning of a match. And there's no other health states that go above a healthy health state. Because even the endurance status effect is less than the regular healthy survivor health state. So it's going to trigger at the beginning. A random survivor is not going to actually get the health state, even if it dings over, and the effect's going to go once we're trying. You need to have this triggerable to where something in the game can actually make this activate, but also triggerable where you can actually get value out of it. Because let's say it's after the third generator gets completed. If everybody is 100% complete or 100% healthy at the time, then like I said, this perk's wasted. But you can't also have it on, like, I don't know, hold R1 and then boom, it just does it, because, you know, that's not the chance effect that all of this seems to be trying to be ran on. So you need to find some way to balance this particular perk of permutations to have a triggerable effect that actually can be used every game in every situation. And you have to make it to where it's going to be useful at least 80 to 90% of the time that it's ran. Because you are giving up one of your precious perk slots for that particular perk. Cryptic Savant. You start the trial with 2 tokens, which allows to toss a shoe through a window. You gain 2 more tokens every time a survivor is eliminated by any means. After performing this action, a noise. They have a perk like this, except you throw a rock. You have to be sitting still and crouching, but you can throw the rock. All of this is the same, except for you're adding at the end here. Scratch marks and pools of blood are hidden for 3 seconds. And it has to be thrown through a window. I would just push to have the rock throwing perk changed as opposed to trying to add in another perk that is specifically pushed towards the way that you want it. And then the map, obviously the cube, a 3x3 cube where the middle floor shift or the middle shifts every time the elevator is used. Question. Are there going to be windows or anything inside of this particular elevator to where the survivor can escape or the killer can actually get onto the elevator if need be? You're going to have passages that allows survivors to go through the top of the elevator, through the exit of the elevator, obviously, possibly even through the bottom of the elevator. So you're going to have to incorporate a lot of coding and time for the elevator itself, wherever that is. I assume it's the middle, but who knows? Then you're going to have the elevator be in one point. So I guess it's going to be essentially outside the map, maybe, like the actual Cube movie. I don't know. Then you want it to make it to where the middle cube is different on every floor and it shifts. So you're going to have a moving map that's always completely moving. You're going to have to make it to where every time it turns, there's accessibility to specific rooms, etc., etc. And you're going to have to make it to where it's a fair and clean map for killers and survivors. So, making a moving map, which, hasn't been done before and is unique, it's going to take, especially a multi-level, multi-room, or multi-floor map, 3 floors, 1, 2, 3, and then all of these floors are going to be moving and changing. It's going to be an absolute pain. Well, I guess the middle's going to shift. The outsides aren't necessarily going to shift, but still, it's going to be a pain trying to incorporate it. I would love to see it and love to have a map that, changes as things go on. They kind of tried doing that with the swamp. They figured out that, hey, doing all of that takes too much programming, too much coding, and they shied away from it. And after that, you really didn't get very many maps that were that unique. I mean, you got things like in Midwich, the body falling out of a locker, or bodies and things moving and moaning and things like that as you're passing them, but the map itself doesn't necessarily move. I mean, the secret area, obviously, in that and Stranger Things, but the map itself doesn't change. So, I say we start small and just incorporate more maps that you unlock things, like the plagues map. When you finish the generator down there, the gates slide up, or the swamp and things like that. You start off with just small things like that. Like Gideon Meat Plant is a great one, for example. In Stranger Things, as you complete the map, more paths and more areas unlock, which enables you to get more things done. Start small like that on maps, and then slowly add in, different aspects of different things. Maybe have some paths closed when generator's done. Some will open. Some objects, once you throw a pallet on them, something happens to the particular object, and it ends up blocking off an area or opening up an area or something crazy, start with interactable things around the map, and then slowly move up to the actual maps themselves moving and evolving and changing. Like during the end zone collapse, a particular map can change its entire form and everything just be completely different. Like a hellish type map or something like that. It goes from like neutral on Earth, generators get done or something like that. It switches over to heaven style towards the end game collapse, or if a survivor gets hooked or something, it goes back to neutral. Then if another one gets hooked, it transfers over to its hellscape map. And slowly experiment with these different concepts until you can figure out how to, well, one, change the map, and two, make it to where survivors don't get trapped in individual aspects of the map, and then three, the transition, obviously, from map to map. So a map like this is going to take a lot of building up to. Whatever game they're working on now could possibly be done, but who knows, brother? Who knows? not the map, the game that they're working on now, using the new engines and everything else, could be possible of doing all of this. Snowman gets in the holiday spirit. It's probably a snowman dancing. Yes. Two snowmans high-fiving and dancing. I love the snowman event. If you haven't gotten to play it, I wish you would have gotten Dead by Daylight when it was free. This event is a lot of fun. I figure it would be angering for killers to have survivors constantly jumping in snowmen, but they got rid of that hit boost that you get from it. So if they slap you out of a snowman, you go nowhere. You go nowhere at all. Killer concept, the insanity. I do this? No, that's why it sounded familiar. I looked into this, seeing that it was like that, and yeah. Concept, reflection of a massacre. If I did this, I don't know. Looks like a sort of footy cootie killer. Or not a footy cootie killer. It was not Shin Chan. What was the name of that freaking Cartoon Network Adult Swim cartoon with the guy that carried around the bent bat that went through smashing people's junks in? I don't know. That's what it reminds me of. Regular speed, regular tear radius, tall. Primary power, mirror world. Another killer that uses mirrors in a mirror world. Interesting. 7 mirrors spawn throughout the map, circling around the center. The spawns are random, but limited to said circle, and they won't spawn within 32 meters of each other if possible. Well, I can tell you now that you're not going to get a circle around the map that's 32 meters of each other, equaling 7 mirrors. Because, well, 7 times 32 is equal to 224. You would need 224 meters of circle space to get 7 mirrors equal or equidistant from each other. That's a gigantic, and that's just the middle of the map. That's a gigantic circle. Like huge circle. So it's not going to be possible to keep them within 32 meters of each other. I don't know why you would want a mirror to be 32 meters within each other in one particular circle anyways. Because the generators are going to be dotted out and about. I would definitely try to keep them separate, obviously, towards other generators. I mean, there's 7 mirrors and there's 7 generators, so you would want the mirrors to be as close to any generators as possible, but you want to keep it fair for survivors. So I would recommend using like the pig soul boxes or the plagues, fountains and things like that. Or pyramid heads, traps to place them scattered throughout the map. Let's see. The distortionist can see the auras of all mirrors in white, obviously. The distortion can walk through these mirrors as if they were doors leading to a mirror dimension. The mirror dimension is the same as the base map, but while in the mirror dimension, all survivors are invisible to the distortionist. The distortionist can still see auras. In Killer Instinct, survivors can see a translucent, reflective form of the distortionist while he's in the mirror dimension. Interesting. I'll give my thoughts on that in a second. However, they can also see him clearly through the mirrors around the map. But the reverse is also true for the distortionist. So, instead of allowing the distortionist to jump through a mirror and then go through the mirror speed and then jump through another mirror to return to the regular world, why not just have the distortionist jump through a mirror, and then when inside of this mirror room, instead of like an actual entire map, so they don't have to make an overlay for the map, they just have to make a room. All the different mirrors are situated, and you can just go to that particular area, like go straight through there. Or make it like everything else, and you just look at the mirror and hold the button, and then boom, you spawn there. But I know you want to use the actual mirror world, so I just figured you'd make it easier teleporting wise and just have it to where you walk into a room or just a general area. They could be just mirrors scattered around the basement that lead to other different places. And from the basement, you can go to any type of map. Once you go through the particular mirror, you keep your mirror form for X amount of time. So instead of being inside of a mirror world, you're essentially coded by the mirror as you're coming out of it. Which one makes you unable to re-teleport through said mirror for a little bit, so there's a balance there. And then two, you can add in, your mirror world like Veil and things like that. And three, it keeps it simple to program. And you can run and do whatever you need to do, sort of like the Wraith, where you're like semi-invisible, but not. But you said translucent and reflective, which is essentially what not a regular mirror, but more like if you've seen the invisible shield that I don't remember the name of their YouTube channel made. Just look up invisible shield. I know Chris Ramsey did a video over the original guys that sent him a shield. Look that up. It just uses refractive lenses to essentially make the person appear invisible. That's what translucent and reflective means. You'll be looking at something like that. Or if you ever had like a planner in school, that back page that had that foggy looking lens at the back that made some things look invisible. It's essentially something like that, except it's completely clear and it ain't got any lines or anything on it. That's what that means. But while in the mirror dimension, the distortion moves at 230% speed. Well, 4.6 plus another 4.6 is well over, well, almost 10 meters per second. Then you add the extra 30% onto your regular speed. You're somewhere around 10 meters per second. The game cannot handle 10 meters per second speed, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you would be going so fast that you could glitch through maps and things like that and completely break Survivor's connection to you. So 230% speed might be a little much. Let's see. 230% of 4.6 is equal to 10.58. That is ridiculous. You can break pallets twice as fast, breakable walls twice as fast, and then holding control for 1 second will have the distortionist return to the regular world. Only 1 second? You better go back to the mirror. Despite his position in relation to a mirror, however, he moves at 80% speed before slowly speeding up to 115% speed over the course of 2 seconds. Only 2 seconds? After being able to move at 230% speed, you're only going to give him 2 seconds of recovery time. I would suggest looking at Legion and their scaling after using their Feral Frenzy, which is like 4 seconds, and they're only still moving at base speed. They're just able to flow and essentially parkour. And taking that into consideration when you're applying a cooldown and speed being built up to your killer. Walking back through a mirror does not suffer such penalty, instead slowly going from 230% to 115% over the course of 10 seconds. So if you go back through a mirror, you keep your speed 230% and it slowly drops back down to 115% speed. So your 230% speed is based off 100% speed. It's based off of a survivor being at 100%. You really need to put down numbers because you just said he moves. The distortionist moves at 230% speed. That is assuming his base speed, not the regular survivor speed. So if we go 230% of 4, it's still 9.2 meters per second that you're going to be moving at that particular speed. Now, how does this not seem unfair and balanced? You can just pop back into the real world in 2 seconds. Or pop back into your real world after 1 second, and then 2 seconds, you're back up to regular speed. But if you walk back through a mirror, you keep your speed boost over the course of 10 seconds. How does that not seem not balanced and not fair? That's what I'm talking about. It's things like that that creators don't understand. You gotta keep it balanced. You can't have a 2-second cooldown because it's not a penalty. I can use this super speed to go around breaking any type of pallets and all of that, and then 2 seconds, well, 3 seconds of delay. One for holding, which that 1 second the survivor's not going to even know you're coming back into the real world until, boom, you're in. But let's say the survivor's going to have 3 seconds once you're on top of them coming back into the world to get away from you. Well, now they're going to have 1 second, and then you're going to be slowed to 2 seconds. So 2 seconds you're at full speed. So 1 second to actually go back through the world, and then 1 second to build up speed to catch the survivor. Then the second you're at full speed. So they have 2 seconds to deal with you coming after them, and you're probably going to pull a wraith and be standing right next to them anyway. So there is no penalty really for going back into the real world because it's only like a very, very split 2-second penalty. And you're back at full speed. It rewards you from going back through a mirror. I would literally walk through a mirror, walk back out of the mirror, and then continue on doing what I'm doing. You don't state anywhere here that it takes any type of time to go in between mirrors. So I would step in a mirror, step out of a mirror, and then speed boost away. And there's no penalty for doing anything like that. Survivors can break mirrors with a small puzzle to complete beforehand. While a survivor is solving the puzzle, they're shown in Killer Instinct to the Distortionist. So now, even survivors can't really break said mirror because the Distortionist now knows that, hey, a survivor's interacting with mirror. So now you're going to have to balance this to where so it takes survivors a decent amount of time to break mirrors, but they're actually able to. So now you got to balance breaking survivor time versus the time it's going to take your actual killer to get to them. If I'm in the middle of Mirror World and, I can just speed boost over with 9 meters per second or 10 if you're going off the killer's base speed, I can shoot across that map and get to that survivor way quicker than they can break it, almost every time. But if it's a useless mirror out in the distance, then, it doesn't matter. You can just let it happen. Or if it's a mirror by a generator that's already been completed, it can go. It's no problem. The whole time they're interacting with this mirror, they are shown by Killer Instinct, which I would make that an add-on and change it to something else. You should only get a small notification, if you even at all, that a survivor is working on your particular equipment. This is another problem that creators have during this particular thing when they're trying to make their killers. You go way OP into effects. Well, he's working on my mirror, so I need to be able to know that he's working on them, and I should have to have some sort of option to stop them. Trapper puts down traps, survivors take out traps. Trapper is notified after survivor gets rid of trap. And before you say they're resettable, back in the day when you could sabotage a trap, they used to completely disappear. Gone. Then they made it to where they respawn, and then they took away the sabotage option completely. So once upon a time in the game, you could actually sabotage trapper traps, and they would go poof. It's long since been balanced and brought up to date to make it modern day by daylight to where you can no longer break traps. So, I would definitely make it some sort of add-on that gives you a notification besides, a small blip that a survivor's starting to work on it. Now, breaking a mirror prevents the distortionist from using it. The distortionist can also break mirrors by hitting them with a basic attack. When all 7 mirrors are broken, the distortionist secondary power activates. Now, this is another reason why I want to stop and talk about this particular thing. If a survivor is working on a mirror and the distortionist finds out, comes over and slaps that survivor, does it just go piecemeal? Because, now that the distortionists can hit their own mirrors, they can literally just walk over, slap any type of mirrors or whatever it is, and not have to worry about it. Everybody knows Dead by Daylight's hitboxes sometimes merge things together, so sometimes when you try to go over and hit a survivor, you're going to accidentally break the mirror that they're working on. It's going to happen. We know it's Dead by Daylight. It's going to happen. Now, instead of keeping it as a power and making this killer, being as fast as they are and all of the ore reading and killer instinct that they have, making it to where a mirror is gone and stays gone, you then double down and say, if all mirrors are gone, 1 mirror will be repaired every 15 seconds. The distortionist can use the mirror dimension still by walking through them, but once all 7 mirrors are repaired, Mirror Demon deactivates. While the Mirror Demon is active, the distortionist's appearance changes. Illusion of the distortionist will randomly appear, walking in one direction before disappearing. The distortion is also undetectable while Mirror Demon is active. So now, if the survivors take the time out of their day to stop working on generators and break these mirrors, they get nothing out of it. So you're essentially forcing survivors to stay with 1 mirror left, but if you see 1 mirror left, then the killer can walk over and just slap said mirror to get rid of it. Do you not see the issue here? You shouldn't. That'd be like rekindled totems being always able to be rekindled. As soon as it's gone, you just bring it back. Did you see, the issue here? While they only made it, it can be rekindled once. Once it's gone, it's gone. Your rekindled totems like your mirrors. Once they are gone, your killer has been thwarted. You moving at 10 meters per second or 9 meters per second is more than enough speed to get over to any mirror before a survivor is able to break it. So why should you ever get the ability to bring mirrors back and then one every 15 seconds is ludicrous? Maybe if it was one every, upper tier of 45, 50, 55 seconds or 50, 55, and 60 seconds, you know, anywhere around there, 40 to 60 seconds, possibly. Possibly you would have an argument, but one every 15 seconds? That's ridiculous. To break all of these mirrors and then have them spawn up one by one after each 15 seconds. These mirrors had better be dang well easy to break. It should only take a couple of seconds. The survivor should walk to the mirror, do a pull back of their leg animation, and then a kick. And that mirror had better be broken and unusable if it's going to come back that fast. It had better disappear about as fast as the twin disappears when you crush him. It better just be that action, that boom, and that mirror better be gone. If you're gonna want to run all of this and have all of this different speeds and everything else on top of it. But then it doesn't even stop here. Here, holding down mouse 2 will have the distortionist charge a secondary attack. This attack breaks pallets on contact and immediately downs survivors regardless of health state. It takes 1 second to initiate, with the distortionist moving at 80% speed during this time, but once it does, it moves twice as fast with a 50% longer reach than the basic lunge. This attack is signaled by the distortionist holding up 2 hand mirrors before lunging forwards and slamming them into the ground. So instead of staying here, you added in this, and then you added in this. You're at the 3 strikes rule, brother. No. Then you have add-ons that are ridiculously powerful. I don't even need to go over the hexes and perks and all that right now. The concept is what the issue is. You have to give your killer some sort of weakness. You can't cover all the weaknesses of the strategies. When they were designing killers and all of that, as they designed them, they figured out weaknesses, and guess what? They left them open for a reason. Your killer's weakness is that he relies on these mirrors for his enhanced movement around the map. But even without his enhanced movement around the map, he still has regular speed and regular tear radius. One, since you're giving him a huge boost in speed, his base speed needs to be slow. Extremely slow. I'm talking like survivor speed at like 4 meters per second style slow. And I only say that because you're giving him a 230% speed boost. So, definitely cut his base speed down because as soon as he touches a mirror, he's zooming anyway. Tear radius wise, it doesn't really matter. Once he's in the mirror world, he essentially has no tear radius. So you don't even have to worry about really a tear radius. But generally, slower killers have less tear radius, so you can scale that accordingly. Take out this mirror demon nonsense. If all the mirrors go out, your killer. That's his weakness. He relies on items and things like that. That's his weakness. If all of the mirrors disappear, he's done. And 2, if you do want to make the mirrors repairable and things like that, make the killer themselves go over to the mirror and repair that mirror for those 15 seconds. Don't let it be automatic. Make the killer bring his assets back to the fight. Forget all of that. Oh, you go into demon form now. Everything goes back to normal. No. This is a spoiled brat clause. They broke all my mirrors, so I'm going to sit on the playground and I'm going to say, well, if the mirrors break, they just automatically regrow. Type of little kid crap that they make. Get rid of your clauses. Again, I don't really particularly mind if he can fix your mirrors, but make it take a significant amount of time, like 15 or 20 seconds of Killer standing there fixing said mirror. And as soon as it pops back up, if the survivor decides they want to stop by and break it again, there it goes. If you want to prevent this particular clause from happening, then make it to where there's a gauge that fills up. When the gauge fills up, your killer can go through a mirror regardless if it's broken or not. But don't repair mirrors and anything like that. You can use that aspect regardless if it's broken or not. When the gauge is filled, you can go through the mirror. There's other ways to go around this by still leaving the openings of your particular killer. This is just sloppy. You're trying to cover every weakness. You looked at it, you read it through, you put it down, you said, man, what happens if they break the mirrors? Then you wrote something against it to try to prevent that from happening. Then you say, well, my killer's burst off of speed and doesn't really have any type of extra attack. So you added in the most bullshit ass special attack that I've ever seen in my life. 1 second time the charge, and you only lose down to 80% movement speed, which is right around the speed of a survivor, so you're going to stay attached to them. And then you speed up with then a 50% extra longer reach than a basic lunge. 50% longer doesn't say much. You would really like, because like tier 3 Michael Myers, his lunge is the same lunge as everybody else. It's just extended to 0.6 seconds. That's what they do. They extend the lunge time as opposed to just saying the lunge is going to be faster. So, to get that longer reach, you're going to have to extend that by, I don't know, I think it'd be like 0.8, like a 0.3? Or 0.4 is basic lunge reach? I don't remember what I read. I remember Michael Myers tier 3 is 0.6. That's 0.6 of a second of that extended lunge time. So you're going to be looking at like, what, 0.8? Possibly even a second, depending on what base lunge is. I'd recommend doing the research and balancing that. Also, get rid of the one hit down. Get rid of the one hit down. Get rid of all the stupid, super heavy attacks and things like that. He's not even carrying a heavy weapon. It's literally a bent bat. Bats are generally made out of aluminum or wood. I mean, you can find some steel bats, but they're not going to be strong enough to break an entire pallet on contact. Get rid of it. You're not playing with Oni. You're not charging hard like a Demogorgon or anything like that. Actually, can Oni even break pallets? Regardless, your guy, he's lanky. He's skinny. He's not that strong. He's relying on something brittle as mirrors for movement speed. He ain't gonna be over there one-tapping pallets. Add-ons. I don't even need to tell you about the add-ons. You need to just rebalance your main perk and then rebalance your add-ons. I don't even have to look at them to tell. Perk-wise, as long as this hex remains standing, 2 random generators on the map are blocked. The killer can see the ores of black generators and white. Each time a generator is completed, another generator is blocked. But each time a survivor is unhooked, a generator is unblocked. That is the most terrible system that I've ever seen implemented in a hex. Corrupt intervention a joke to you? As long as this generator remains standing, 2 random generators on the map are blocked. Which means they cannot be interacted with at all. Each time a generator is completed, another generator is blocked. So at the start, because there's 7 generators, they have to do 5. So now 2 generators are magically blocked off. There's only 5 generators left. This is where we're starting at the base. If corrupt intervention is ran with this, 2 generators are going to be blocked, and then 3 other generators are going to be blocked as well. That's 5 generators that are going to be blocked from the start, leaving only 2 generators to be worked on. That's just the first 60 seconds. Each time a generator is completed, another generator is blocked. So at the start of the game, even if you didn't run corrupt intervention and all of that, and the 2 random generators aren't near any survivors, by the time you down the first survivor, you're generally going to have 2 to 3 generators blocked. Or 2 to 3 generators being completed. If you hook that first survivor and they do 3 generators, that's 3 more blocked generators, equaling up to 5 generators blocked. But there's only 4 generators left. So all 4 of those generators are going to be blocked for the rest of the game or till this hex perk gets taken care of. Every generator is going to be blocked. The only way that they can unblock a particular generator is each time a survivor is unhooked. So, if you just stand and face camp that survivor that's on the hook, they get sacrificed, they die, and all of the other generators are completely blocked off for the rest of the game. This is heavily exploitable and easily the best perk in the game because it's so broken. You never want a hex deployable perception type perk. Any perk that blocks a generator and has a very flimsy type of activation is going to be exploited by survivors. That is just the nature of the beast. So, this perk cannot be implemented in any type of way that you're looking at because it's exploitable again. X no time. I'm just going to point out you don't need 5 tokens. The only thing that has 5 tokens is Devourer of Hope, and the only thing you use Devourer of Hope is 3 to 5. This, you're just adding in a little bit of things here or there. Expentimento has 5 tokens, but it's hard as heck to get the 5 tokens. It takes skill to get the 5 tokens. Devourer of Hope takes skill to keep your totem alive and also hook the survivors and be away from them before they get that unhook. You have to do all of this without the survivors figuring out that you're running Devourer of Hope, or they're just going to find the hex totem and get rid of it. X no time. Each time a generator is completed, this perk appears on a non-hex totem. If able, it's called a dull totem. If this appears in place of a boon totem, the aura of the survivor who blessed that totem is revealed for the killer for 24 seconds. It's not possible. It's not possible for it to go into a hex totem. It's not possible to go onto an already boom totem. They are solid state objects and cannot be manipulated as of now. They ain't been coded in. So, all of this from here to here is already gone, can't be used. So each time a generator is completed, this perk appears on a non-hex totem or a dull totem. Each time a generator is completed, you have the same line twice. This perk gains a token. Tokens are retained when it places itself on a new totem. 1 token. Survivors cannot see auras outside of a 36-meter range of themselves. What ability do you know besides like empathy or clairvoyance? And clairvoyance, anything outside of a 36-meter range of yourself doesn't matter anyway. This is very highly irrelevant to majority of survivor reading skills and things like that. You can remove this. Can't see auras outside of 36-meter range of themselves. The only thing that you're gonna get from this is survivors aren't gonna be able to see other survivors across the map that go down, and they're not gonna be able to see where they are hooked at, but they are gonna be able to see the survivor when they first go down, because you get that notification of them going down. And then as they're immediately hooked, that little screaming type noise that they do, you're going to get two blips of where they are. There's already perks that do this very effectively. So you can just remove that from the clause. Now we're down to 4 tokens. Items lose their charges 150% faster. You have like overwhelming, or no, it's unnerving presence, not overwhelming force. Unnerving presence that already makes item rate reduction go down. 150% faster is ridiculous by any nature of the word. Because you're thinking about, you know, high things like toolbox and things like that. But what about keys? Keys that only last for a couple of seconds. Them losing their charges 150% faster essentially makes them unusable. As soon as you click it, that key is most times gone. An empty key, as many know, cannot open a hatch. So again, way too overpowered. Up progress advances 20% faster. It takes 60 seconds per phase, and you're trying to take a fifth of that time, which is like 12 seconds? Yeah, 12 times 5, 60. You're trying to remove 12 seconds per time, so 24 seconds out of their 2 minutes of time. So they're essentially going to have less than 100 seconds to be taken off of the hook. Obviously, this is way too overpowered, and it's going to have to be nerfed. Keep in mind that each time this perk gets a token is because a generator is completed. So you're literally punishing survivors for good play. That's why all of these are way too powerful. You're going to get every single one of these abilities every time you play a match. There's no skill base. There's no challenge. There's no anything like this. Unless they find the actual hex themselves, or they go ahead and break every single dual totem that they go against. Which, again, if you just run hex Pentimento, run both of these together, as they're forced to break tokens, you can just rekindle them and stack even more effects on top. 4. The killer can see the ores of all survivors that are within 8 meters of another survivor, off of doing 4 generators. 5 generators, all injured survivors are broken. So it's essentially no ad. So we have, well, I mean, besides knockout, there's a lot of, that actually prevents you from seeing the ores of hook survivors, things like that. There are unnerving presence and other perks that can do that. Basement hooks, if you want to use the basement perk, whatever it's called, because I never run it, makes the hooks advance faster. It's only a 7% like faster. It's like at 5 or 7% increase in speed, and you have to take them specifically to the basement. So it gives you the right to make every hook 20% faster when the basement hooks aren't even buffed that much per base game. I don't remember the basement perk. Then the killer can see the ores of all survivors that are within 8 meters of each other after 4 tokens. That's 4 generators done. So any survivors are going to be that close because you're going to be in a 3-gen situation, or you're going to be working on a couple of gens trying to get things done. Then if they manage to do every single thing and get all 5 generators, you know, do their actual one purpose in life, you have the nerve to say after any survivors are injured, or if they are injured already, get the broken status effect, which means they can no longer heal. So if you down a survivor and hook them, the only way they're getting out of a door is if they use borrowed time, because they can't heal after getting unhooked or anything like that. And all of these you're going to get every single time unless they take out this particular hex or they take out every dual totem on the map. And you deem this as fair. No, it's just punishment for completing generators. Scourge hook, twist and turn. This also makes me believe how he's talking about speed and everything like this, that yeah, 543 posts. I'd definitely say that he is a killer man by this time, and the issues that he has versus survivors. He's generally trying to cover up and fix the issues that he thinks the game has instead of actually upping his game and learning how to play better. At the start of a trial, 4 random hooks are changed into Scourge hooks, blah blah blah. You know the regular Scourge setup. While a survivor is hooked on a Scourge hook, all other survivors see their aura on the Scourge hooks as well. Any non-hook survivor within 16 meters of a Scourge hook are marked with Killer Instinct. Now you have the super speed and one-hit blow and all of that. Any survivor going to rescue their friend, on top of all of these other token perks, you're going to know that they're there when they get within 16 meters of that other survivor. Again, and this seems fair. Survivor side. Let's see if they at least stay OP all throughout, or if survivors are going to be hard nerfed in some way. Quiet down. If a survivor within 16 meters of you does an action and alerts the killer with a loud noise notification, it makes no noise instead. It's called quick and quiet. Act coy, play nice. For every 10 seconds that pass in a chase without dropping a pallet or blinding the killer, this perk gains 1 token, max of 6. For each token, you vault pallets and windows 6% faster, but for each fast vault, this perk loses 1 token. That's it. That's it. You can vault pallets and windows faster, but for each fast vault, you lose 1 token. Well, you can only use said window or perk, or said window 3 times while you're in said perk. But I mean, I can get this same bonus and keep it all the time, essentially, just by running Spine Chill. Spine Chill, I think, is like 4% faster. So I can keep the bare minimum of this perk at all times and have other buffs just by running Spine Chill, and know when the killer's looking at me on top of that. This already exists. Spine Chill. Exorcism reduces your chance of becoming the obsession. If you unhook a survivor while you're not the obsession, this perk gains 1 token. Maximum of 5, 4, and 3. We have reverse scaling. Okay, if you unhook a survivor while you're the obsession, they become the obsession. If you unhook the obsession, you become the obsession. And this perk loses all of its tokens. What? Hang on. Rewind. Reduces your chances of becoming the obsession. Okay. At the start of the game. If you unhook a survivor while you're not the obsession, this perk gains a token. However, on the flip side, if you unhook the obsession, you become the obsession. If you unhook a survivor while you're the obsession, they become the obsession. And the perk loses all of its cooldowns if you become the obsession. Each time the killer starts a chase with the obsession, your aura is revealed for 1 second per token on this perk. Why would you ever want your aura to be revealed to the killer? I mean, object of obsession is once every 30 seconds. It used to be whenever you looked in the direction of the killer, you could see each other's auras. But now it's if the killer is reading your aura, or every 30 seconds, object of obsession procs. So why would I want a perk that every time I unhook somebody who isn't the obsession, I get a token, and then the particular killer that's chasing the obsession can see where I'm at. That makes no sense. They're in chase, even if they can see where you're at. If you're not just right around the corner, it's useless to killer, and it's useless to the absolute survivor that's running it. This is more so a character thing than a well-balanced good meta perk thing. I'm up for buffs or rework suggestions only if they fit with the character I'm going for. That's your issue. That's your issue, and why you don't need to be posting on the Dead by Daylight forum. Every creation that is in this forum is taking their time and tailoring all of these different killers to fit the Dead by Daylight description, the mechanics, the balance of Dead by Daylight. Then you come around and you're saying, and you're just going to straight up say that you're not looking for any type of good balance. You're not looking for a good meta perk. You're not looking for anything. You're just wanting to introduce this because you thought it would fit the particular character build. You're a certain kind of special to actually have that type of notion. So what you're saying is, I just wasted my time going over a concept that you knew from the start was broken, overpowered, and made no type of obvious sense. You got 543 posts under your belt, and you make this ridiculous post. All I'm gonna say is you're a certain kind of special. That's it. Remove this post. Take it, write it for the mod, something like that. Change the title, anything. Remove this post from the forum. Put it somewhere else where it belongs. Not out where everybody's actually trying to create a concept. Oh boy, oh boy. See, what is your name? Reflection of a Massacre. Here you are. Critical Fish. Critical Fish. 319 vote ups. Behavior is red 0. You've got badges, you have accolades, things like that. But after that last one, Critical Fish, if I remember your name, and I probably will, like this, I will never do another concept over that again. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go through, click on that, and then click back out. And this concept could be absolutely smashing. Could be absolutely, the best concept in the world, and it could possibly be implemented in the game, but your particular name, and there you are. You're posting again and again and again and again and again. In all of your concepts, you don't look for any type of balance or anything like that. You're literally just putting crap on paper. Again, click on that, click off of that. You get your view, and I never have to get a new on my thing again. And like I said, anything like this, chapter concept for Utopian Nightmare, you're actually giving me motivation to actually start putting out high quality, edited and all of that content, become famous, just so I can come back and be like, nah, bro. Because, like, Bennett, he gets in arguments and stuff with people all the time, but he'll eventually lose that. But you're just downright just. Mm-mm. Went over Cube. Went over Snowman. I've also seen that somebody, a particular person's concepts that I went over previously, they have banned me, so I can no longer see their posts. When I went and logged in, their post showed up, and then when I logged in, their post disappeared. So there's that too. I went through your concept. Suggested perks for survivors by Ryan the narrator. Did I do this? Yes, I've done this. Cassandra Cutthroat. Pirate. How come I knew it was good? Well, I guess Cutthroat is kind of a pirate's thing. Alright. Look. Um, let's see. The hook is a short distance weapon and allows Cassandra to grab and drag her enemies for a period of time, leaving them injured. The sword allows her to reach further than the average killer and inflict quick damage. So she has a hook and sword. Hook for grabbing, sword for slashing. The sword definitely doesn't have any type of increased range. If you look at any of the other survivors' main weapons, they are quite long for the most part. Some are even longer, like the katana and things like that, and the mace that the Oni provides. So I definitely wouldn't increase range. Perk. Pirate's life. After survivor is injured, they're inflicted with rapid, deep wound, and hemorrhage. Don't know what rapid is. Deep wound and hemorrhage, they're already injured. There's actually a lot of perks here recently have been trying to hemorrhage and deep wound. Now that I think about it. You gotta keep in mind that this particular perk can be ran on any killer. So you're essentially making any killer Legion, which is why I typically frown on having a perk that can just straight up deep wound survivors whenever a survivor is injured. So if a huntress hits you with a hatchet, you're gonna get deep wounded. You know, if a trickster gets you through one of the phases throwing his knives, you're deep wounded. Deep wound is very hard to escape out of. And if you are going to provide a deep wound timer, the timer is going to have to be significantly longer than Legion's timer at base stats. So the deep wound timer is going to have to go for a super long time, making it essentially useless in the situation. Why I don't really particularly nod my head towards deep wound and hemorrhage. And if you just want hemorrhage, there's Sloppy Butcher. Deep in. Each time a survivor gets hit with an attack, gain a token. Once killer reaches 4 tokens, killer can use the ability to activate Deep End. Deep End inflicts all injured survivors with the broken status effect and spawns 4 pirate chests across the map. 3 chests have the ability to cleanse survivors of broken status effect. The other is a trick chest that'll cause the opening of the survivor to be put into the dying state. Obviously, This is essentially the plague. We went from Legion, A Pirate's Life, the plague, deep end, with a fountain that attacks you. Cassandra's Plunder. Survivors that interact with chest have their ores revealed for 10 seconds or are hindered for 10 seconds. How much are they hindered? 5%, 10%, 100%? How much are they hindered? 10 seconds of ore reveal on a chest that may or may not down you. Not very good. Plus, the twins already have a perk that interacts with chests. Dead Man's Curse. So now we have Legion. What did I say this one was? Plague, Twins, Dead Man's Curse. Killer spawns with Dead Man's Curse, which prevents survivors from stunning or blinding killer until the Hex Totem is cleansed. But this takes the place of some add-ons of killers. It also gets in the way of, I think it's like what, Unrelenting. Now, Unrelenting just makes you... Is Unrelenting the one that recovers you from stuns? 1.5 seconds. Then Blindings, obviously. My brain's just... It's just gone. Probably because I'm hungry. I haven't really ate. I had some baked potatoes. That's about it. Lightborn. That's what it's called. Lightborn. Um, I mean, it's a pirate. Eventually, we hope to see a pirate included in Dead by Daylight. You use the general aspects of the pirate. I mean, the sword, the hook, the dead man's curse, things like that. So, I mean, yeah, she's a ghost pirate. She does ghost piratey things. I'm gonna assume she has 4.6 meters per second of movement speed and a tear radius of 32 meters. This is a base killer template. The perks are definitely going to have to be reworked and redone, but I mean, you have a base power or base weapons, base killer design, and base everything. It just needs more details added to it. So I'm going to assume that this is just the start and it's going to be edited more into the future. But this is a very good start. I think these are just template perks. They were thought through, but I mean, they weren't, the killer's power hasn't been fully developed all the way. So these are kind of just templates. As the power and the killer and all the other things that they can manage to do that makes the killer viable as an option to play, these will change, and then the add-ons and all of that will develop after that. So I'm going to say this is a good template for now. It obviously needs to be worked on and nurtured and cared and all of that as it comes up, but good start. Please read this post. I want to hear your ideas. Yep, I got a lot of people viewing it, but not a lot of people replying to it. And I had the same thing. A lot of people view my particular post that I put down, but nobody really replies to it or gives any type of feedback. And generally, if you say please and you asked people on this particular forum, they don't care. That's the one thing that I have understood. If you put something like this, it says please read this or please give feedback or something, ain't nobody gonna say a single word to you. You want to write this, you want to give a strong presentation of your particular killer perk or idea, and then include it in the actual thing that you're writing. As well, there you go. You're not going to get any type of comments. You're going to have a lot of views. People are going to go through. They're going to read what it says. And then they're going to bounce. So, Unfortunately, well, that's one of the main reasons why he wants to include Jason Voorhees in Dead by Daylight. We've heard this 1,000 times in this form. Jason Voorhees, the only reason he's not in Dead by Daylight is because Friday the 13th came out and the licensing and all of that for Jason Voorhees is kind of up in a cloud of smoke. It's going to be extremely hard to get him. He has his own game. Dead by Daylight already has Trapper. Trapper is supposed to be the Jason Voorhees. The entire game, Trapper was at the base in the start of the game. He was kind of the face of Dead by Daylight. And I guess he still is to an extent, but he's the face of Dead by Daylight. Trapper, which is Jason Voorhees. Trapper wears a mask, carries around a machete, plants traps. With the added abilities of breaking walls and things like that, he's essentially Jason. Jason Voorhees, most people don't want to comment or say anything about it because he's technically already implemented. And if they did get rights to Jason, what kind of powers would they give him? One, there's so many different types of Jason. So, I mean, there'd be a lot of cosmetic options and things like that, but they can't necessarily pull the same designs that are in Friday the 13th. They would have to change the design aspects some, even though they're implementing the same character. Because again, Jason Voorhees already has his own game. Then you have to make your powers and everything else about Jason unique to Dead by Daylight without crossing over the Friday the 13th line. But any similarities to the game, Dead by Daylight's going to be sued by them. Why? Because it's all about the money. It's all about capitalism. You say Jason Voorhees and you pull anything from the game that's like Friday the 13th, the game, they're going to sue you. The Friday the 13th, the game, had to go through a lot just to put out their rendition of Jason. I mean, they had to go through a lot. You can look it up. They had to go through a lot. So in order for Dead by Daylight to pull this type of contract and things like that, it's going to cost them quite a pretty penny and contractual and everything like that. Trust me, they've probably already tried to get Jason Voorhees or tried to clear something or some sort of thing. I clicked on it and this is the last concept I'm doing for the day, so I'm going to go over it, but keep in mind that none of this is plausible at this point in time. Plus, if anybody's seen the post yesterday, they're already working on a post from the ring. From the ringu. So, there's a teaser from that, and just in case you didn't get a chance to see it, that behavior released. X Unstoppable. Every time you destroy a pallet, your movement speed, miss swing speed, and lunge distance increase by 2.5, 30% speed every time a pallet is destroyed. Your successful base attack cooldown is also decreased. You just took a whole bunch of different perks and you jammed them together. I understand what you're trying to do and incorporate, the unstoppability of Jason and his rage and all of that. However, all of these perks have already been separated and already been implemented into the game. All seeing, hiding isn't an option. When a survivor is entering a locker within 32 meters, Jason can see their aura for 3 seconds. So now you can't even hide in lockers anymore. Or Jason can see your aura if he's within, or if you're within his tear radius. So if you're working on a generator and you hear the tear radius, lockers are no longer a viable option. which means perks like deception, for example, are useless. Quick and quiet for lockers when in tear radius are useless. All of that. Also, and never mind, I'm not even gonna go off of the obvious thing that's wrong with this. Fury. Every time a survivor blinds, flashbang, stuns you with a pallet. So blinds or stuns. Uh, Fury gains a stack. Fury has a max of 3 stacks. Once near a used pallet or breakable wall, you can use Fury stack to walk through the wall. Obviously, that's from Friday the 13th. When Jason gets rage, he can walk through doors and breakable walls that exist already on the map. And then everything just gets done faster. Again, this is too close to Friday the 13th, the game. So you can't incorporate this like this. You can't just walk through items or objects and things like Jason does. Due to copyright and them being sued, that's not possible. Well, survivors entering a locker within 12 meters, Jason can see their aura for 4.5 seconds. So you've already reworked a perk, and instead of taking out the original perk and slotting this in, you're letting us know that you're reworking something that's wrong. Brother, I mean, I use the same writing style and things like that, but when it comes to a concept or an idea of things like that, we don't need to see your thought process. We need to see what you are thinking. Two different things. I want to know how you envision Jason Voorhees to be put in the Dead by Daylight. Well, I really don't. I want to see a particular killer that is strong and powerful and how you see how they're being put into Dead by Daylight. I don't care about Jason Voorhees, but I want to see your idea and what you're picturing in your head. I don't want to see the thought process or all the work that you've done to that far. I don't need to see that. It's just, pointless banter. I want to see what you were thinking, not how. And he went back in and revamped Unstoppable again. And I mean, it's still the same thing even after it's been done. It don't matter the percentages and how much you tried to balance things. It's still different perks put together. Also, he already states you guys can make up the power if you'd like in the comments. One, nobody's going to do the work for you, which is probably one of the reasons why nobody ever commented back, even if to give any type of constructive criticism or let you know that it's not possible. It's not even a complete idea. Give us a strong power that we go off of. We don't really care about perks. I mean, you could have dropped the entire Jason Voorhees thing and just said Hex Unstoppable, All Seeing Fury, posted it as a regular post without anything attached to it. And then people might have said, hey, Jason Voorhees does this in Friday the 13th or something, and pointed out similarities. Instead, anything that we would talk about, you've already included into your main statement. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I mean, using Jason Voorhees' names is kind of taboo when it comes to the creation forum. So a lot of people clicked off as soon as they seen his name. We all know the stance of Jason Voorhees and everything. The psychopath I've already went over. Yes, I've already went over this. Yeah, I've already seen that. I don't know what he added. or anything like that. This is one of the ones that I actually went through and went over everything. Mm, a lot of people are gonna comment on this because it's essentially Jeff the Killer. So he threw out a very popular name that could be possibly thrown in, and he got a lot of comments. Like the Weeping Angels. That's another heavily requested thing. Things like that. I caught up for the most part and everything. Again, I'm not trying to extend this particular day out. I went through and looked at everything beforehand that I could possibly cover. Then I threw in that extra one on top. It's not very good content. So, there it is. I've been trying to look and I've been trying to find, the perfect concept, but they just don't make them that well anymore. They all kind of feed off of each other, using each other's ideas, whether they are good or bad, and then they each keep including the same idea in every concept. But instead of talking to each other about it, as opposed to just looking at each individual concept and all of that, you keep getting the same ideas over and over and over and over. And I can either release one good quality concept once a week, or I can continue to do bad concepts all throughout the week till I find one that's good live. Either or, I don't particularly mind. I can take the time to make just one solid video on a good concept, edit it down, do the research, have all the information, have a script set out, and all of that. Or I can continue to just jump on live and just kind of sweep the floor with all of the other concepts that aren't up to snuff and just throw them together into one live stream. So everybody gets an equal amount of coverage, everybody gets, everything, but the content isn't going to be as filtered. Either or, it doesn't matter to me. Anybody watches this, write me a comment. Let me know if you prefer one super quality content once a week, maybe even once every 2 weeks, depending on, the content that flows through. So every once in a while, a super good content movie or video, or if you prefer daily live streams where you can stop in and you can get whatever content, is viewed for the day. Don't matter to me. I can do it either way. I mean, the one video obviously would be easier on me because I can literally just, boom, go through the particular content on the Dead by Daylight Creations review, find the content that's decent, look up supporting facts and things and suggestions, make a script, edit it afterwards, and then send it. I mean, it's going to take me significantly more time. Like during these, I don't spend over like 3 or 4 hours. To make a good video, it's going to take like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours to get everything together and to push the concept the way I want to. But I mean, it's also going to be video recorded, so you ain't going to be able to see it live. You ain't going to be able to see the background thoughts or any of my initial thoughts on something. You're just going to see what I edited in and what I typically want you to see. So, taking away the live stream aspect, you're taking away, some of the repeating and rambling that I do. But I mean, most YouTubers do that. Your whole job's about talking. So the rambling, they just edit out and they cut out. But then when they live stream, they have a huge community that essentially does the talking for them. I have to come up with concepts and conversation and all that on my own. When it comes down to this, I have to have a topic prepped in my mind, which generally I just speak on something that comes into my mind that I know a little bit about. as I'm going over these live streams. So I have to keep the content flowing. I can't just go over one top or read what the topic says, say what I think about it basely, then look at chat, and then we have a conversation about that. I haven't built myself up that far yet. So as of now, I'm just filling in the empty gaps that would otherwise be filled, again, by chat. So I ask that you show me a little bit of patience until, I start getting an audience that shows up every day. I now have chat fixed and everything else, and I've done the appropriate steps to where if anybody sends anything in chat, I can see it. Right now, it's just YouTube only for Dead by Daylight reviews because something informative really doesn't catch any type of ground on Twitch. Gaming catches ground on Twitch. Like, I could play Sideswipe right now or do an extended Rocket League, stream, and I'll be able to get an audience of a couple of people. Putting this Dead by Daylight creation reviews on Twitch, I would have to spice it up and add all kinds of, pizzazz over top of it. I'd have to have probably 25 different overlays and fix the pin app to where it'll write on the screen and be able to be picked up for everything. I'd have to go and do a lot of things so I can illustrate everything. People on Twitch like to see things that are moving. They want to see ooh shiny things moving at all times. They want to see actions. They want to see video game gameplay where everything's constantly moving and constantly being they want eye candy. During the creation reviews that I do on YouTube, generally doing it for just a specific person, that being me, and then if the creator themselves are really desperate for help or anything like that, I'll then go and cover their particular concept and then send them the link to the video. Because I mean, honestly, if I had a better well-known game or better well-known rep in the creation forum, I would just have people send their concepts to me. I would make a video about it, what's good, what's bad, what needs to be changed, whatever. And then I would let them know, so here's the transcript to the video, here you go. If they wanted it privately done, then, that'll be done like that. If they didn't care it being public, I would do it either live or record it and post a video later. Going over, strengths, weaknesses, things like that. It would be a whole lot more content. It'd be easier because if the content would be of higher quality. I wouldn't be repeating myself daily like I'm always doing. Trust me, if you think you're going crazy hearing me say the same things every day, but to a different person, think about how I feel. The person that has to wake up every day, gets on the forum, looks through, has to click on essentially everything that I come to, even though I know it's not that great. And then having to say the same things like, hey, you have no overview. Hey, your perks aren't balanced. Did you even look up any of this information? Hey, this and that and that and that. And I feel like I'm like a teacher just nagging their students. Hey, you guys need to do this. You guys need to do that. Hey, you need to put your name at the top of your paper, Johnny. That's about what I feel like right now. Except the thing is, the students never learn. Even if you tell some of them, some will actually listen to you, but the majority won't listen to a thing that you say. And then you get their next paper in, and you're like, Johnny, you still don't have an overview. You still don't have your name at the top of your paper. Your paper isn't in the correct format, etc., etc. And you just keep going on and on and on and on and on. It never ends. Anyway, appreciate anybody for stopping by. Rant's over. I actually might play some Rocket League or something today. I was supposed to be starting Blacklist, but I think I might hold that all till tomorrow so I can just have a day to mellow out after doing that 6-hour convention run. conviction run. So thank you anybody stopping by. I'm going to supplement my lifestyle by flushing my system with a new game. I hope you'll do something as well. As always, supplement your lifestyle later.